Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. And I'm so glad to welcome everybody here. I am author Melissa Bowersock, and blah blah blah. Yeah, and we're gonna chat about the Lacey Fitzpatrick and Sam Firecloud mystery series in all its aspects. And first off, I want to introduce narrator and voice actor extraordinaire, Julie John, who is doing the audiobooks. And Julie is going to go over a little bit of housekeeping at the first, just so everybody knows what to do. So,
Sounds good.
Julie, over to you.
Thanks, Melissa. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I'm the narrator on books 12 through 15 of the Sam and Lacey series, and Melissa and I are just getting me started to narrate number 16 real soon here. In total, I've done with my audio engineer husband Steve. I've done 40 plus books for different authors, and it's really fun. I love narrating. So, yeah, I wanted to get us going on a little bit of housekeeping. Welcome to Jitsi, which is like Zoom, but it's better. And this is our first time doing this with more than just Melissa and myself and Steve testing. So there's going to be a learning curve. We're recording this, and so you'll get a link to that in an email later afterwards. And as well as there are links to the books and stuff in the chat. So if you haven't found the chat yet, just use your mouse or hover to the bottom of your screen and you'll get a little black menu bar that comes up. And the chat is the one that looks like a speech bubble. It's on mine, it's number 4 in the left to right. And just click that, and that should open the chat in the left side of your screen, and you can type something in there if you have a question for Melissa or myself. We would love to take questions and answers. Um, and if you do have a question, we ask that you use the well, I mean, we don't have too many people, so I don't even think we need to use the chat for questions. If you want to unmute yourself, you can just ask it verbally. What do you think, Melissa?
Yeah, at this point, I think we're fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because we were hoping we would have, hundreds this time, but since it's more intimate, it's like we're all in each other's living room, and this is so nice, just
yeah.
sitting together. We're also in the chat. There's 2 tabs. There's chat and polls that you'll see across the top of the chat window. So we ask that you enter your answers in the polls if you haven't already done so. Just something fun to ask a couple of questions over there of you. So we have questions for you, just like you might have questions for us.
Yeah,
And so that's both dogs at this time,
yeah. Okay.
keeping the yard safe. So
Yes,
my first question that I wanted to ask you, Melissa,
yes.
is what was your inspiration? Tell us a little bit about Sam and Lacey's. Just set us up. What is their series about? And then what was your inspiration for creating this series?
Well, the inspiration was kind of funny because years ago, I think it was probably 17, I got an email out of the blue from a production assistant at the Travel Channel. And she said they did a series on the Travel Channel called The Dead Files. And they went to haunted properties and researched them. And she said they were looking at a haunted restaurant in Sedona and wondered if I would like to be on the show as an expert. And I said, I live near Sedona, but I'm no expert. And she said, that's okay. She said, they like to have authors because they know how to tell a story. And I thought, okay, I can do that.
Hmm.
So the Dead Files is a little different from Sam and Lacey because Amy is the medium and she's the one that walks the property, and Steve is an ex New York policeman and he's the one that does the research. And
Ah,
when I was on the show, I was actually talking with Steve. I didn't get to meet Amy, but I was talking to Steve about some of the goings on around Sedona. But it was a lot of fun. I was only
yeah.
on for just a short clip, but the crew was great and it was a lot of fun. And so then some months later, after my show aired, I got to thinking, like writers normally do, if I was going to write that, how would I do that?
Mhm.
And so that just started things in my brain. And the first thing I did was I wanted to flip the genders. So I wanted the man to be the medium and the woman to be the researcher. And then because it's not typical for a male to be in touch with these kinds of things, I wanted him to be grounded in a very spiritual background. So I made him Native American, and Lacey is of course the ex LAPD, very very direct, not given to flights of fancy too much.
Mhm.
So very different characters. But so
That's
I
really
got
cool.
as soon as I got this idea, I sat down and started to write it. And I really didn't think too much about it being a series.
Mhm.
But by the time I got halfway through the first book, I already had ideas for the second book. So as soon as I finished the first one, I started writing the second one. And now I'm working on number 37.
You're like a chain smoker.
Exactly.
And I mean that in the greatest way.
Chain writer.
Chain
Yes,
writer, yeah.
I know.
That's so
And,
cool.
sometimes I'll start writing one book and I'll get an idea for another one. And then it's like, well, do I finish the one I'm working on or do I go to the new one? You know, so
Yeah.
sometimes it's tough. And then there have been several times when I have finished a book and I don't have another idea. And I have honestly thought, okay, maybe this is the end of Sam and Lacey. And then here comes an idea, or one of my readers suggests something to me. I get emails,
Mhm.
and my readers say, well, what if you had him do this, And
Mhm.
excuse me, I've used some of those ideas, and they once they germinate, they just go.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
I
it's a
love
lot
that.
of fun. And so now, flipping it back to you, Julie,
Yes.
why don't you tell us how you got into audiobooks and narration?
Yeah. Yeah, so Steve and I have had a business since 1990, doing all kinds of IT and graphic stuff. So we do videos, we do web design, and also computer IT tech support stuff. And when the pandemic hit, all of our business was just sort of dried up. And we were sitting around, and I was listening to audiobooks because I was passing the time, and like a lot of people were. And all of a sudden, I thought, I could probably do this, like with the super naive feeling of like, this doesn't seem that hard, right? This should
How
be
hard could it
easy.
be, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
how hard could it be? So, and I got started, and I think I have probably a ways to go at getting even better, but I definitely have improved in those couple of years, 2.5 years. So it was rough going up first. I would go real fast and everything. But I've always been quite the chatterbox and always been a big reader. Just my whole life. I love to read so much. And I love voices. I love accents and words. Just I'm a self-professed word nerd. So it's really fun to me to pre-read the books to myself. And I love Melissa's work so much because some of the stuff I've narrated, honestly, it was really hard to get into it. It was really hard to make it come alive. And hers is so easy, and so I get a character Bernice Sadlowski. And all of a sudden, I'm saying, Bernice, this is Bernice. She's an older woman, perhaps has a Jewish Brooklyn kind of thing going on. And it's Bernice Sadlowski. That's just how she sounds. And she's been through a lot. She's a widow. Her husband is unfortunately coming back as a ghost. This doesn't happen to everyone. And, so then I have a lot of fun with it. And another one that sticks out for me was a Japanese gardener, because I was always thinking of, Mr. Miyagi from Karate Kid,
Okay.
and
That's a
so
gangster walk.
yeah, Gangster Walk, and what was the gardener's name? I forgot.
His name was George.
George, and
Yeah.
so he had seen a ghost, and he very angry. This ghost, he come in my face and he yelled at me. He's so angry. He spit on me. Yeah. And so I had so much fun with that too. Just I love it. So I have a
Yeah.
blast. And then I have to come back to the narration voice and not get too Japanese for that because otherwise nobody knows who's talking, So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it's a lot of fun. I have a blast.
Yeah. Well, and you do a great job.
Thank
And what
you.
I love is how you're now adding in sound effects.
Yeah. So that was kind of an accident. We just I think the first sound effect was Kenzie kicking her leg against the table or something, and it was
Okay.
one of the first. And
Yeah.
I was like, "We gotta it would be so cool to have that in there because she's kinda, like, mad, I think, or something, or she's real animated, and she's sitting at a table, and she's kicking her leg against the chair." And so we did something, and then now we try to add a little bit to each one. So we have ocean sounds
Mhm.
in Karma Walk,
Yeah.
and even under the pier sounds. That was because it's kind of spooky under the pier,
Yeah.
and some stuff goes down under the pier. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's great because I mean, the audio books bring the story to life anyway. But
Yeah.
then when you add in that, it's just it makes it more realistic, you know?
Yeah, it's really fun, and we try not to have it overtake the whole thing, it's so it's not too distracting, and it's not like the sounds are competing against my voice, but more just background ambiance. So yeah,
Right.
it's a lot of fun. There's
I think it's
there's some
great.
cool sounds out there, and when we can't find it, we make it
Yeah.
ourselves. So
Yeah.
we go murmur, murmur, or something like that.
Yeah.
Crowd noises, crowd noises. No.
Gloria, have you guys listened to any of the audiobooks?
No,
Okay.
it wouldn't work out
Okay.
so-
Okay.
with our time. So
Yeah.
we pretty well stick to the ebooks.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's great. Well, Julie is going to do a short reading later on, so you'll get to hear some of
Yeah,
it.
you'll get to hear it. There you go.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks. Well,
Okay. So
would
let's
you
see.
like to do our first giveaway?
We can do that.
Do you want or
Yes.
whatever you want. You're in charge.
No, that's okay. Let's do it. Who wants an autographed book for
All
free?
right. So
Yeah.
I'm going to share my screen with everyone,
Okay.
and we've got this really cool little thing that's called the random name picker. So here it comes, and I've got our three guests. Can you guys see that? Kay, Yvonne, and Gloria? Do you see
Okay.
that, Melissa?
Yes, I see it.
Okay, I'm going to assume everybody's seeing it. So you guys are there. I'm going to click on this green bar that says pick a random name, and it's going to go fast, but it's going to pick a random name. There they go. Where will it stop? Nobody knows. Loading the result. The winner is Kay.
Oh, okay.
Congratulations, Kay. You have
Yeah.
won an autograph copy. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And we're back to all right. You have won an autograph copy of Ghost Walk. And is
Okay.
that number 1 in the series, Melissa?
That is. That's number one. Yep.
Wow.
So that's where it all starts.
Oh, that's a good one to get because she can start, right
Yes.
at the beginning, find out how they came to be.
Now, I'm assuming that you can give me her address later on.
I certainly can. Oh, Yvonne would
Oh,
like to
fine.
speak. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can all unmute yourself, Mom, if you want to also unmute yourself. Go right ahead.
Yes, Yvonne, what's going on?
What's going down?
She's muted.
She's
Yes.
muted. You're muted if you don't know how to. It's at the bottom middle. If you wave down there, you'll see the microphone is the first icon. Then just click it to unmute. And if you didn't really mean to raise your hand, let us know. I lost audio. I will try logging back. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to say good luck. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this stuff, it's all a crapshoot.
Yeah.
It's live, so it's all wild and woolly.
Wild and crazy. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I have some comments about my relationship to the Sam and Lacey series.
Yes.
Cool.
One is I just have to commend Melissa on how she can create characters so authentic.
Absolutely.
I feel as if they are neighbors. I never say I'm going to read a Sam and Lacey book. I always say, either to myself or to my husband, I'm going to go have a little visit with Sam and Lacey.
Oh,
I think that's great.
that is so neat.
And sometimes when I finish a book, I get lonely for them.
I can see that.
Now, right now, I'm taking a hiatus because of other interests, and so I'm actually right now reading a Michener book
Oh,
about the origins of us in Africa,
Oh, neat.
okay.
and it starts with these little brown men who live in the root of the tree.
Oh, you mean you didn't start with the dinosaurs in that one?
No, I've read numerous ones. I can't remember which ones. I can't even remember the name of this one. But anyway, so I'm taking a little hiatus, a little
Okay.
vacation from Sam and Lacey.
Okay.
But the other character that I'm very fond of is the ghost that inhabits Sam's studio.
Oh, Theodora.
Oh, Theodora. Yeah.
Theodore. She again is someone who is very real to me.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Not
I
a
thought
ghost.
about adding her name to the poll of favorite characters.
You know,
Oh.
I didn't think about that. That's a good idea. Yeah.
Oh, I missed the poll. That's when I went offline by hitting the wrong button.
Oh, okay. So it's in the same window as the chat.
Yeah,
And
that's
go
where I
ahead and
started.
yeah, so we'd
Yeah.
love to know your vote.
You're right now. But so
Yeah.
anyway, that was my main comments about my feelings about the series and how I feel they're my friends. I don't feel like they're characters in a book at all. For me, they're very much alive.
Well, and I love that. I think that is great. And I'll tell you the honest truth. I get emails from readers, and I've had one tell me that she wants to marry Sam, and then I said, sorry, he's already taken. But
Yeah.
I've had several say they want to live next door to them.
Oh,
So I think
I-
it's the same feeling.
Yeah, I get lonely for them.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
and of course the great thing is you can go back and visit anytime you want.
yeah, I
there you
may
go.
stop in the middle of Michener after this talk and check them out and see where I stop, where I last stopped.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
great.
let me ask you a question off the cuff, Gloria. Do you have a favorite of all the books that you've read?
Let me think about that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I've only
And if I don't think
read a
about
few.
it now, I will email you or text
Okay.
you.
That's fair. That's fair.
I need to get caught up and start reading, because I read the first one and then I
Uh-huh.
read 11 and then
Right.
I narrated 12 through 15 and now I've read 16. And it's always my favorite is always whatever one I'm on is my favorite right
Yeah,
then,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you really get into it and
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah.
So, but I need to fill in some gaps.
Yes.
Like I don't know how they fell in love. I
Yeah.
just read the first one where they were just getting to know each other and then boom, in 11 they were already married, I think, or they were at least
Yeah.
going away together. They went to
Yeah.
the Navajo reservation together. So,
Yeah. They get married in book 8.
oh, cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I need to fill in some gaps and then I have no idea what's coming after 16. So,
Yeah.
I've got a long ways to go and I'm excited.
Lots of surprises. Lots of surprises.
I
Caramel Walk spinoff.
I bet. Oh, and then Steve said, "How about a caramel walk spinoff that
Yeah.
takes place in a bakery and it's called Caramel Walk?"
There's an idea. Yeah.
Yes, it's make of it what you will.
Okay. That's a deal. That's a deal. Well,
So,
I guess we've lost Yvonne.
Yvonne, yeah,
Yeah.
she didn't.
So
wasn't able to come back, so that's
Oh,
a
Well,
shame.
she might still
She
come
might
back
still,
yeah,
yeah.
she might.
after she hits enough buttons.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. What's next on the agenda? Oh, we're going to talk about Karma Walk.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
So let me share my screen with that cover, and
oh, okay. Yes.
but go ahead. You may
Yeah.
keep going, and I'll do that.
Yeah, Karma Walk, I thought was interesting because it gets into the topic of reincarnation, and I'm definitely a believer in reincarnation, and I think it's an interesting topic.
Mm-hmm.
What's tough about Karma Walk is that it concerns a young girl that's raped and strangled, and
Mm-hmm.
so Julie and I have talked about trigger warnings. And I have never put a trigger warning on any of my books, even though they do sometimes get into tough areas like this. But
Mm-hmm.
I think generally, I, I don't go into a lot of graphic detail.
No.
I don't think it's necessary. And I also think that the reader can supply as much horror as they want, without me putting it down on the page. So while I acknowledge that it could be um, bothersome for some people, I think for the most part, most people would be okay with it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it would be traumatic to read about it. Um, but so now to introduce you to Karma Walk, which is just the latest book on audio. Julie is going to do a very short reading from the book.
Mm-hmm.
So over to you.
And would you set the scene for this reading, if you would? This is we're going to. I mean, or I can if you want me to.
Okay, what's happened is that Sam and Lacey have been approached by a policeman in Long Beach, California, and he said that he sees a ghost down at Seal Beach, which is Long Beach, and the ghost is his buddy who died a while back and was also a policeman. So the fact that the policeman is showing himself there, his name is Abe Sidlowski, means that something is undone. There's something keeping him here, so he cannot move on. And so the policeman that approached Sam and Lacey actually took up a collection with the whole police force to hire them to see if they could find out what's keeping Abe here and release him. So Sam and Lacey have already gone down to the beach and they have already walked it. And what's interesting is that Sam's son Daniel also has his father's mediumistic tendencies, and Daniel wants to help also. So what happened was when they walked it, they've realized there were two spirits down there at the beach. There's Abe and there's a young girl, and they don't know why they're both there. They don't know what their connection is. So the scene that Julie is going to read is when blah, 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 blah. When they're walking the scene, and Daniel has gone to walk where the young girl is, while Sam was stayed with where Abe was. So Daniel is going to come back and tell them what he's got, what impressions he's gotten from the area that he walked. So, okay.
Thank you. He strode directly to the boardwalk and stepped up on the flat surface. For just a moment, he looked out at the ocean, then began an unhurried walk back toward the city. His soft moccasins made almost no sound. I feel like he's around, he said quietly. I just can't zero in on him. Lacey could hear the frustration in his voice. They walked 20 feet down the low end of the pier, Then Sam stopped and made a slow turn. He scanned left and right before finally stepping off the right side of the pier and heading back toward the ocean. He took a dozen steps and then stopped abruptly. "Look," he said in a low tone. "I see him." Lacey pulled her phone up. The shadowy form stood before them, a slightly darker gray than the beach sand. Although the features of his face were indistinct, Abe stood tall, erect, and his head moved slowly as he scanned the area. Sam moved closer. "Abe Sidlowski," he said. The ghost stilled. "We know you're standing guard. We know you're watching out for the young people who come down here, but you don't have to do that anymore." The ghost watched Sam for a moment, then pointedly looked away. "Your friend Kent has that duty now. He watches this area for you. You know that. You've seen him." Abe looked back, training his shadowed eyes on Sam. "He's worried about you," Sam continued. "Your wife, Bernice, is worried about you." Lacey thought she saw the ghost raise his head up slightly. "They both know that you should be moving on. Your work here is done. You can let go." The ghost's attitude didn't change. Lacey saw no difference in the gray features of his face, no difference in his stance, in his stiff posture. It was obvious he remained unconvinced. "You've done all you could here," Sam went on. "More awaits you. There will be other ways you can serve. Other ways you can help and protect. I promise you, more awaits if you move on. It's the way of things, the cycle of life. Let go, Abe." For a couple of heartbeats, no one moved. Then the ghost slowly crossed his arms over his chest and faded into nothingness. Lacey kept filming until she saw Sam's shoulders sag. She turned off her phone and walked up behind him. "No go, huh?" she asked quietly. Sam shook his head. "He's a tough one. I don't know." He let out an exasperated sigh and turned to Lacey. "The thing is, I don't get any overwhelming emotion from him. There's no rage, no fear, no sorrow. Just that dogged determination that no one seems to know the genesis for," Lacey supplied. "Right." Sam shoved his hands into his pockets and turned back the way they'd come. "Let's go see if Daniel got anything." The boy was already waiting for them. As they neared, Lacey could see his eyes wider than usual and his thin chest rising and falling with quick, deep breaths. "What happened?" Sam asked. "You okay?" Daniel nodded once. "Yeah, but..." He blinked rapidly, and his eyes darted back toward the pier. "Let's go back to the car," Sam said. He put a hand on Daniel's shoulder, and they all trudged back through the sand to the parking lot. There, Sam leaned against the hood of the car and stared at his son. "Okay, what happened? Tell us everything." Daniel licked his lips and glanced out at the pier one last time before returning his gaze to Sam. She's there. He swallowed painfully. She was attacked, raped, then strangled. The panic was so strong. I almost ran. Just feeling her fear, her helplessness was awful. She was so shocked. She trusted the guy, thought he cared for her. Then this. Sam squeezed the boy's shoulder, as much, Lacey thought, to ground him as to reassure him. She noticed how the strong yet gentle touch seemed to calm him. His breathing shallowed, and his eyes settled. So she definitely knew the guy, Sam said. It wasn't a question. Oh, yeah, knew him, but didn't know him. Not really. Did you get any sense of him? Lacey asked softly. She'd slipped her phone on to record their conversation. Any idea of his physical appearance? His name? Anything at all? Daniel thought back. Dark hair, I think. Kind of dark skin. Not black, but I don't know. Swarthy, is that right? Sure, Lacey said, nodding encouragement. Like maybe Middle Eastern or Italian or something? Yeah, like that. He wasn't tall, but he was big, muscular. He overpowered her. Okay, good, Sam said. Any sense of a name? The boy's eyes drifted upward, accessing the memories. No, nothing like that. That's all right, Lacey was quick to reassure him. What about her? Before you thought she was 18 or 19? Do you still think so? Any other details? Daniel nodded. Yeah, she had dark hair too. She was slimmer. He raised his eyes to Lacey's. Like Tori. His voice broke. Lacey saw it all in his eyes. The horror of what he'd felt. The horror of imagining it happening to someone else. She stepped to his side and slid her arm around his shoulders and hugged him. It's okay, she whispered fiercely. It's okay. It's over. It happened a long time ago. She could feel Daniel holding himself in, rigid and inflexible, holding the feelings at bay. She released him, but rubbed his arm as if chafing away a chill. It's all over. He nodded morosely. Then he sought out his dad's eyes, so dark like his own. Can we find out who this guy is? Get this son of a bitch? One side of Sam's mouth lifted in a grim smile. That's exactly what we're going to do.
Very nice. Very
Thank
nice.
you.
Yes,
Thanks very much.
that was great. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I always have a good time.
Yeah.
It's
So
great to feel the feel, to eke out every feeling out of every word, because I know that you birthed those words with great care. And so I want to give each one its due and, just really know, why did she choose this word here? What is this word? What are all the layers of this word? It's a lot
well,
of fun.
and that's great because I do that, and to have you honor the words the way you do is wonderful. I mean, there's times when I'm looking for the right word And if I don't have it, I'll just leave a blank there with an arrow pointing to it, like,
Sure.
look this up later,
Yeah.
grab my thesaurus or whatever. Because I have to have the exact word. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You've got
But
a great command of the language.
yeah. But yeah, that was great. That was
Thank
great.
you.
You do a great job.
Oh, thank you. It was a lot of fun
Yeah. I love
in
the emotion.
in a somber sort of way. It's a lot of fun.
Yes. Okay, so now the fun part is that both Julie and I get free promo codes. So anybody that wants to download a free audiobook, just send us an email, and our emails are in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
And all we need to know is if you're in the US or the UK, because the codes are different. And we will send you a free code, and you can go to Audible and download the book and
Yeah.
listen to it yourself.
And I would say, Melissa, correct me if you don't agree, but I would say likewise, if you have friends who like audiobooks, who are willing to listen and leave us a positive review, reasonably positive, I think, it's fair to ask that. If they hate it, tell them to get in touch with us personally and not leave a review. But, if you have friends who like audiobooks, we would love to send them a code as well.
Yeah,
Because this is why they give us the codes, is so that we can reach out to people and get the word out.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I don't want to encourage a bad review, but the funny thing about bad reviews is that they do make the book credible. You
That's true.
know that all the reviews are not just sock puppets.
They're not
If you've
edited.
got,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
if
true.
you've got a bad one in there.
Yeah,
So
sock
um,
puppets. That's good.
yeah. So I'm not crazy about bad reviews. They make my heart sink, but I'll take them. I'll take them. So
Yeah. It
yeah,
lets you know how the actors feel when they say, okay, we got to read the reviews. And then they're like, oh no. Because it does. It hurts.
it does. It stings.
You
Yeah.
take those ones more seriously than the positive ones for some reason.
I know, and I don't know why that
I
is.
know.
Especially when I mean, the vast majority of reviews of the books are fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
So there's sometimes when I'll just kind of go through them all and read them just to feel good.
That's nice. Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah. So let's see what's next. Oh,
A
okay.
trail walk.
The Trail Walk book
Yes, and
three.
I can
Yeah.
share my screen and show the picture of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me just grab that. There we go. It's got a snake.
Oh,
Yeah.
Betrayal Walk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you read that one yet, Gloria?
I think so.
I just released it, I think, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is number 36. So
Wow.
that's the
And
new
Karma Walk is what number?
Karma Walk is what, 16, 15?
15.
I can't keep track.
It's 1-5.
Okay.
Okay, 1-5. Yeah. Yeah.
What can you tell us about betrayal walk without betraying too much?
Yes. Okay. Well, Betrayal Walk. Sam and Lacey are contacted by a woman in Texas who has picked up an abandoned property that she and her husband are turning into a country B&B.
Mm.
And it's in Conroe, Texas, which is just north of Houston. But they have this ghost, of course. And so,
Of course.
of course, so Lacey researches the ghost and actually gets to the heart of the story right away. And when they look at the information, they think that they should be able to release the ghost fairly quickly because it looks like they know exactly what the story is. But when they go to release the ghost, not only does it not go away, it gets outraged. So there's more to the story than they know.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's so intriguing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting one. And I was happy to hear from my beta readers that they thought it was pretty unpredictable and that the ending surprised them.
Ooh,
So
good.
that's always a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's
yeah,
neat.
and the reviews are starting to come in,
That's
and they're
good.
pretty good. So yep.
Melissa, where do your ideas come from in general? Do you have
Um, do you know everywhere? I mean, it's easier to say where they don't come from. Um, I mean, one book that I wrote, Stonewalk, which is about a Scottish castle in Monterey,
Ooh.
California.
Oh, wow.
And I got this idea because I don't even remember if I was reading something or if it was something on TV about human sacrifice.
Mm.
And that was all it was. And my mind just rolls with it, you know. And 2 books ago, I did Trojan Walk,
Mm.
um, which is about a young girl. And the funny thing with that one was I had music on, and all of a sudden I heard this song by ABBA that I had never heard before. And the name of the song is
Cassandra?
Cassandra.
Yay, I love that
Yeah,
song.
I'd never heard it before. But you know, of course, I know the mythology of Cassandra and how she was given the gift of foresight, but nobody believed her.
Yeah.
By the time the song was done, I had notes written down. I had the whole book written down.
Oh, man.
I couldn't believe it.
I
And
gotta
so,
read that one.
yeah,
Ooh,
yeah, I like that one a lot.
that is so
So
cool.
that's the thing, that ideas just come from wherever, you know, what I'm
Yeah.
reading, what I'm seeing, just I don't know. There's just no explaining it.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
I
yeah.
got another idea. Do people tell you all the time, "Hey, I got an idea for your books"?
Some do, and I use them.
Oh,
Yeah,
good. Okay, well,
yeah.
I got an idea for your books.
Okay.
I was thinking about something we were talking about earlier when we were just getting this Jitsi meeting started, and it triggered this. In Tennessee, there's a lot of Civil War battlefields, and I
Yeah,
was talking to a woman who works at a museum there, and she said that every Halloween they have people, actors and actresses who get dressed up in costume and go out to the
yeah.
graveyard, and they
Ooh.
have like tours of the graveyard, and there are soldiers. Oh, I know what it was. It was when you and your husband, you were telling me about you and your husband going to the fort and
Oh, okay.
portraying the commander of the fort and his wife. Yeah.
Right.
So these guys do these things on the Civil War battlefield to scare the pants off of paying customers. People pay to go out to the not the battlefield, sorry, the graveyard.
Cemetery. Oh my God.
The Civil War graveyard, and there's guys in uniform with bloody, heads or whatever, talking and
Yeah.
telling the story of who I was and standing on that grave and saying, "This is who is in here, this person,
Oh
this is
my,
what they did." So I don't know if that sparks anything, but there's gotta be something maybe in there, I don't know.
that's cool. Okay, where in Tennessee do you know?
Mhm, I wanna say Athens. I'll find out. I wanna say Athens. It's near
Okay,
Knoxville.
okay,
But, yeah, I'll find out because there's a museum there, and, yeah, I think it's Athens, Tennessee.
okay.
I'll
That's kind
find
of
out.
cool. I like that.
I know, isn't that it sounds I could never do it, like, especially at night.
Yeah.
I would be freaked out, and the woman who was telling me about it was fairly elderly, and she told me, "I would love to do it, but I'm afraid I'll fall down, walking out there on the graves."
Oh,
She
yeah.
said, "These graves are old, and they're really ripply, and they're not
Uh-huh.
it's not nice and flat." So she
Oh,
said, "I dare not," but she said, "I would love to do it." She said, "I'm not scared at all." And I was like, "Oh, I'm chicken as the day is long, so no way." But,
how
uh,
funny.
but I was thrilled by the idea, I just knew I could never stand it.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. And I actually wrote a standalone book about a guy who keeps dreaming of the Civil War
Oh.
and finally goes back east to the battlegrounds. And he found out that an ancestor was in the war, so he actually goes back to follow his ancestor around to the different battles. Excuse me. and he was in several, and of course ended up in Gettysburg. But what the main character realizes is that he was there also
Ooh.
in a past life.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
sounds neat.
Yeah, and that one turned out really, really. I really like that one. I think that's a good one.
That's
Yeah,
neat.
yeah.
That
Wow.
reminds me of your Travis series,
Yes.
Being Travis and Finding Travis. I was cleaning bookcases this week and I picked up those two books and I said, I've got to read them again.
Wow.
I love those books too.
Oh,
Yeah,
especially the second one when it ends and he recognizes who he is and he
yeah,
leaves a note for his mother.
yeah. Did you like
Wow.
that? Yeah, yeah. And Julie, it's a two-book series that I wrote, and it's about Camp Verde in
Yeah.
Camp Verde when we lived there.
Uh-huh.
And it's a time travel novel.
Ooh, fun.
So a guy is working at Camp Verde as a volunteer, dressed up in period costume and everything, gets flipped back into time.
Oh, wow.
And
That sounds fun.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really like
Neat.
it. I like it. Yeah.
That sounds really neat.
So yeah.
Well,
So
I think we should probably wrap it up pretty soon here so we can
yeah,
get people going in an hour. But would you like to know the results of the polls?
yeah. Let's look at the polls.
Okay, so who is your favorite character? Overwhelmingly, it's Lacey. Now, Gloria,
Overwhelmingly.
you didn't vote. Who's your favorite character, Gloria? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, that's hard.
I know it is. It's really hard.
I can't choose.
You have to
Oh,
abstain. Okay, abstain. And
you know
then
what?
so that one's Lacey. And then have you ever had a paranormal experience? The result is 3 of us have and 1 of us have not.
Yeah, and
So,
I'm the lone standout with a no. So
yeah.
No,
yeah.
Yeah.
I've had uh, paranormal experiences. Some years ago, I got into shamanism,
Oh,
and
Wow.
my first experience was Halloween Eve in San Francisco, across from the in a room across from the zoo, where they had a some expert who had studied shamanism in multiple cultures. He was an anthropologist, I think, and there learned the techniques of shamanism. And
Wow.
so I followed up and took numerous workshops in shamanism until one workshop where I had a very positive experience meeting someone in the upper world who was deceased and who I loved very much. It was so real that I never did any more shamanic journey.
It was a
oh,
little too
I,
much,
I,
huh?
yeah, I just felt it was something so powerful
Mm.
that it would be best that I just leave it alone. But
Wow.
I've had other experiences.
Wow.
Uh,
Thank you for sharing that.
yeah,
yeah. That's great.
yeah.
That's
Mom, I don't know
great.
if you're still there. That's
Yeah.
Kay John. I don't know if she's still there, but if you want to
Yeah.
unmute yourself, you can tell us if you've had a paranormal experience or share anything. Oh, okay. Steve says I don't think she's there.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, I think she has actually. I think I
Yeah.
have caught wind of some stuff. Yeah, so I
Okay.
think a lot of people.
Oh, I do think a lot of people, yeah. And of course, most people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
It's not a normal topic. But so, Julie, have you?
Yes. Oh yeah. I've had a lot of different things. Probably the most uh easy to recall type of thing is I did some research into out of body experiences
Okay.
and wanted to try to have them, and so I bought some Monroe Institute audio files, and they do this thing that's supposed to entrain your brain. They're called binaural beats.
Okay.
um, Monroe's not the only ones that make them, but they get your brain in a certain mode that mimics what people's brains are in when they're having an out of body experience. And so I've had a lot of really cool things in that. And I ended up actually having an out of body, during this time when I was trying to really spontaneously have one, I did. And so
Yeah.
that was really, I've had multiple ones since then. But my
Oh,
first one was the most dramatic and so exciting. And I just remember because you're completely conscious. And
uh-huh.
so you're asleep, you're dreaming, and then suddenly you wake up, but you're not in your normal body. You're in something else. And I
Wow.
remember looking at my hands and they were like blue white light. I could see energy like coursing through them. They were so beautiful. And
Oh,
and then I went to different places. I had made a pact with a friend. He's a friend of both Steve and mine, and we had never been in his bedroom, and he had never been in our bedroom. We had been to each other's houses, but we came up with the idea, if we ever get out of our body, go to each other's bedroom, and then we'll tell each other, what did we see there? And so that'll
okay.
be like this great way to tell if we really got out of our bodies. So I went to his bedroom. I saw him and his wife in the bed and a little small being in the bed with them. And I said, oh, later I told him, I said, it couldn't be your daughter because she's like 10 and this was a little small, like a baby. And he said, we have a cat. That was our
Oh,
cat.
oh,
And I didn't know he had a cat.
oh,
So
no
that was
way.
pretty cool. And I
That
was
is
able to tell
cool.
him exactly what curtains were in his bedroom,
Yeah.
white, frilly chiffon curtains. And he's like, oh my gosh, that's exactly right.
Oh, how
So
funny.
that was pretty cool.
That is cool. That is
Yeah.
really cool. Wow.
And lots of other unusual things, but that's probably the most dramatic one.
Yeah. Well, that's neat.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
interesting.
and that reminds me, um, this is not paranormal, but I do past life regressions.
Oh,
Ah,
of
And
yourself or you do it for
well,
other people?
I do it for other people, but I've
Wow.
probably witnessed about 20 of my own lives.
Well, that's paranormal. What would you call
Well,
that?
yeah, it's not ghosts.
Oh, okay, not ghosts. Mine's not ghosts either.
mine
But
was,
um,
yeah, mine
And
was,
and yeah, Gloria's well, yours is kind of Gloria.
yeah,
yeah.
but but what's funny is that when Bud and I were doing this, we were living in Flagstaff and I worked with a guy that did it. So that's how we got started. And
Mm.
so Bud did a regression, and it was back in the West in the 1840s or whatever, and it was in South Dakota, and and he and I met and got married, and so he went through this life, and then in the end, of course, he died. Um, there was this one funny part where he was going to break a horse, a wild horse. So here he is laying on the couch and he's talking about this horse that he's riding, and the horse is bucking and everything. And as he's laying there, his feet are going like this,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
the
Oh,
whole time he's riding this horse. And
wow.
then all of a sudden they just stop. And the hypnotist said, "What happened?" And Bud says, "I got bucked off."
Oh, wow.
But so he went through the whole life, and then at the end he died, and I was sitting next to him when he died. And so I had in my mind what the room looked like, where we were. So the next time we did a session, I went back to that same life. So I saw it through my eyes.
Whoa.
Whoa.
And what was really interesting to me was when we got to the place where he was dying and I was sitting next to him, holding his hand, the room looked completely different than I thought it would look.
Hmm.
So when I got done with the regression and the hypnotist woke me up again, I really quick I got a pencil and paper and I said, draw the room where you died. Where was the bed? Where was the door? Where was the window? Blah blah blah. And he drew exactly what I saw, which, like
Whoa.
I say, was different from my initial
Wow.
idea of what the room looked like.
That's
So I
really
thought that was,
wild.
yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Consciousness and memory get so tweaked between different levels of consciousness, like
Yes.
like even trying to remember your dreams.
Oh yeah.
It's like we have these altered levels of consciousness that access different parts of our memory, and so yeah,
Yeah.
so fascinating,
Yeah, it is. It is.
mysterious.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, fun.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well,
I think so.
I think
Well, I
we
think we've gone through everything we were going to do. So,
looks like.
Gloria, do you have any questions? Anything to add?
No, I mean, I could tell all kinds of stories, but I'll save it for another time.
Okay.
Well, we hope you join us again if we have another one of these.
I
Yeah.
certainly will.
It was
Okay.
fun.
Yeah, I
well,
enjoyed it.
it's been so nice to see you. And please tell Joseph hello for me.
I will. I will.
Yeah.
I certainly will.
Yeah. And we'll see you on Facebook.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Julie.
Nice to meet you, Julie.
Yeah. Nice to meet you too, Gloria. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. And Julie, thank you so much for putting this together. This is great. This
And
is
this is a good site. I really
Yeah.
had no trouble with it. I've missed meetings. Webinar is something that I can never accomplish.
Oh,
Yeah, Jitsi makes it as easy as they can. I love
They
them.
certainly did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I may
you
put
bet.
the app on my computer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that little short in our emails, Melissa sent a little short link. It's meet.jit.c. And
Yeah.
that's it. That's all you need to know to start a meeting.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
cool.
And
Thank you. And Mom, if you're still there, I don't think you are, but thanks for joining us. And
Yeah.
Steve, thanks for recording us.
Yeah, Steve, thanks for all your help. Yep.
Yeah.
And, we'll do it again.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Melissa. Thanks,
Okay.
Gloria. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay, you
Bye.
too. Bye.